Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It is the 14th of March, 2025. It's about 11:30 in the morning, and I'm going to begin a series here on how I use HGSI to analyze the market. I call it top-down market analysis with HGSI, and I'm going to do end of day and I'll get into intraday and then I'll get into prospecting. I'm pretty much finished adding new things to my add-on file, and I want to concentrate more on how to get the most out of the program. Now, last week, Dr. Scott did a 3-hour webinar on the software he's promoting now. He does promote HGSI. It's still one of his primary programs, but he has developed software in conjunction with some other people, and he's selling that. But I'm not going to do a 3-hour session. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to break this up into different segments and just show how you can get the most out of the software. Anyway, let's move on. As always, the market is your teacher. Don't forget, and during these times right now, this is a very good lesson to retain. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Now, I am putting together a cheat sheet. This is a Microsoft product. It's OneNote, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a link and share this, and as I build on this, you'll be able to open it up, and if you want to print it out, that would be great. But you can follow my steps. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I rely upon the indexes that are generated with HGSI more so than the other standard indexes like the NASDAQ or the NYSE, because it gives us the ability to see the structure of the market when these indexes are made, and I'll take you through all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to put this on my other monitor so I have it as a guide. So this is how I generally do my early morning analysis of the market using data from the prior day. So yesterday was another down day, but today we're having a big up day. So this is a good day to show you the capabilities of the program. So where I start, I go into my market analysis user groups. These are user groups that I put together, and there are quite a few groups here. And yes, they do take a little bit of time to update in the morning. It takes me 8 minutes to update everything, but I'm doing other things like checking my email and so on a different computer, so it's no big deal. But there is a tremendous amount of information that's available to us in these market analysis user groups. Now, these are the non-index groups where I have a data repository so I can go back and do some back testing and so on. But here's where I begin. It's at the very top, the top folder, Market Insight ETFs. What I've done is I've compiled this list of ETFs, which gives me a good feel for what happened at the end of the market day on the prior day. So I'm going to click through to the warehouse, and where I go here, I just go into my top-down market analysis view and click on number 1, sort on raw combo, and what this gives me is a picture of what happened yesterday. There was a lot of fear in the market when the market was closing yesterday because the VIX is at the top of the list with a 5.9% gain for the day. Closed at about 2/3 up its daily range, so it wasn't at the high, but it's been up all week. You can see the gain for the week was 4.7%, most of it yesterday, 5 days, 6.4%. So I can just look across here and see how long these signals have been in place. And if I look at my column here, days since the 3 crossed the 6, that happened 15 days ago. 14 plus 0, the crossover days. Let's bring the chart up. And I'll make it full screen here. I'll zoom in, and this works for this symbol also. You can see the VPA flags here, but the crossover happened right here. I'll bring an arrow up right there. I'm going to make that a red arrow in the future. So the crossover happened there, and it's been intact ever since. So that could have been purchased on the crossover. You never know if it's going to go up or not. But the 3 stayed above the 6 the entire time, and now it's starting to come down as of last night. Okay, so that tells me there is a lot of fear in the market, and there has been for several days now. I can see that gold, I know that gold hit an all-time high yesterday. I'm sorted here on the percentage price change 1 day, so gold has been strong. When did it cross over? After a pullback, it only crossed over 3 days ago. So I bring it up. You can see the pullback happened right here, and then it happened again here. This was the most recent pullback, and then there was a strength seen returning after a downtrend, confirmation of that, and it closed at a new high yesterday. Now, this is today's candle here. This is yesterday's candle. This is today's. If I look down at the bottom, it says 314.25 because I had my intraday on. I'm going to disengage it just to avoid confusion. I went in and disabled the intraday. Now you can see this bar is gone. Now this represents what I'm seeing in the warehouse view. Okay, I'll go back to the warehouse view. So the Ultra VIX, I showed you that. I didn't realize that it was printing the intraday, but you can see yesterday it was a white candle rather than coming down. It was still going up. So this is the way it looked last night. Okay, let's go down the list. Silver, it crossed over 7 days ago. And I haven't mentioned, but you can come over here and you can look at the VPA signals. And I do have an industry column in here because this view could also be used for top-down, going top-down, seeing what the industries are. But it's not used in the ETF. So bond shares and so on. What was at the bottom? The Bitcoin Trust, the ETF, was down at the bottom, down 3.5%, and it's up today. It's rallying along with the market. Pretty strong rally today. But this just gives me a reading, an instant insight into what happened at the end of the trading day. Now I'm going to come back to this towards the end of the video, and it'll be the intraday will be activated, and you can see how dramatically things have changed just in 1 day. So I have all this information here, including the Wyckoff. I just noticed that this column had been moved over. So this is all information, valuable information. You can see the gold yesterday was high, wide, and very high, and it's been going up since the beginning of the year and throughout the week. So it's just a nice scorecard snapshot of what happened. And then the volumes over here, you can see the average volume and see how much volume there was yesterday. Let's take a look at gold here. 90-day average is 7.5 million shares, and yesterday it traded almost double that. If you look closely, you can see that I have all of the sectors in here, the spider sectors. So you can see, I can quickly see where the strength was, and no surprise, metals and mining, that spider was up the most. The materials spider is right here. Utilities were positive, but these are just down slightly. The weakest was the consumer discretionary, down 2.5%. Consumer confidence is way down, and that's being reflected in this spider. I'm going to bring an arrow up here. Notice that this consumer confidence crossed to the downside 26 days ago, and the volume point of control 16 days ago. And I put a column in here, days down since the 6 crossed the 18, so that's giving me the short-term view, which would be this window down here in the center. This is since it crossed up. And if all of these are either up or down, it's a quick read on strength or weakness. So taking a close look at this on the gold spider, for example, the short-term dip I showed you already, it pulled back on both the VPOC and the 3-6, but if you look over here, the days since the 6 crossed the 18, that was 45 days ago. Let's bring that up again. And that happened clear back here. So you get the, I'm sure you get the point. There's a lot of information in here. The days since the crossover, the Wyckoff indicators for that day, the percentage price move, relative strength this year, both HGSI RS and Kirkpatrick RS, and the volume. And then the trends over here. You can see all of these VPA trends, or most of them are down, but there are a couple of strong ones here. Now another thing I like to do is, you see the ranking module up here. I'm going to click on that, and I'm on relative strength, and I have selected Wilder 14 weeks. Over the years, I've been using this to find the strongest trending stocks within a folder. It just ranks whatever ETFs or stocks are in a folder. So if I bring this up, you've already looked at gold, but it tells me that this is the strongest trend. And you can see that it was red back here, then it went to yellow, and then it, on the week of the 14th of February, it turned to green. Natural gas fund. Let's take a look at it. You can see that this is a pretty strong chart, but it's been coming down as we're coming out of the winter season. What is the weakest index here over based upon the Wilder RSI? It's a Russell 2000, the IWM, and you can see that it's a very weak chart. So this just gives me a quick reading about strength and weakness. Remember, it's only the ETFs or stocks that are contained within a folder or a when you have a filter applied. Now I'm going to go down from Market Insights. I'm going to drop down to Major Indexes Updated. I use the equal dollar weighted. I have both market cap weighted and equal dollar weighted. I'm doing them two different ways. There is some difference, but most people seem to use equal dollar weighting, so that's what I'm doing. And then these are the indexes that I have in here. Now I did stick place, I should say, the HGSI Industries Index in here. I'm experimenting with that. It takes a little longer to rebuild these intraday, but not that much. So I'm experimenting with that. But let's go from here to here. I'm using the same view, and this is the way it looked as of last night, sorted on raw combo. You can see that all of these indexes turned down a long time ago, 15 days ago minimum. The VPOCs have kind of been in and out. The days since the 6 crossed the 18, all of these are negative also. This is the way the market looked last night at the close using equal dollar weighting on all of these indexes. You can see that it's all red and volume was above average with all of these indexes except the Russell 2000, and here are the actual volume numbers as calculated by HGSI. If you look over here to the right, you can see the VPA trends. Everything's down. There is an up on this index, it's the S&P 100, but that is the long-term trend. Now I've added, I don't have this in the list, but I've added the couple of warehouse views here: index, indicators, accumulation, distribution, and it shows how the accumulation breaks down within each of these indexes. So using the S&P 1500, which is my go-to index, the percent A's were 1% as of last night. Percent B, 10.26. C was 23.58, D 36.18, and E was 28.98. And you can see the letter ranks and the AD direction of all of these indexes. Now, this is going to change dramatically today if this market holds together. It's only about noon now, not even noon yet, so there's 3 hours to go, and there could be a lot of profit taking by the end of the day. We'll see. But anyway, I'm going to bring up my most used index, which is the S&P 1500, and I'm going to go to the HGSI index charts. I built these charts, most of them several years ago, and they're very useful. So I'm going to click on the first one, and this shows accumulation distribution. This is A and E, accumulation distribution. This is the letter for accumulation. You can see it's on E. And this shows A plus B and D plus E. And you can see that this market is really oversold compared to what we've seen in the past as far as accumulation distribution. So I'm going to zoom out on this. Let's do a control. Let's see, I want an alternate 3 here, alternate 4, alternate 3 we'll take a look at. And you can see when I put my crosshair on here that this is in the upper range of distribution, and it's higher than any of these other points here. Now going down here, you can see it was higher here as far as distribution, but we're getting up there here and here. Let me see if I can zoom out on this a little bit more, or I'll just scroll this way, and you can see that we are in the upper levels of distribution on this chart. So that's how I use this chart. And then the next one, pretty much the same chart. This is A and E, but this is gives us insight into how the distribution is happening. You can see money coming out of A, and it's coming out of B, and it's kind of coming out of C, but it's going into D, and it's going into E. So that's the way it works. It's just a nice visual of how this is rotating, how the accumulation is rotating in and out. Now this is the S&P 1500. You can drop down to any of these other indexes. I'll stick with the 1500 for now and just go through the rest of these quickly. This is accumulation distribution with Chaikin. If this is below the zero line, that's distribution. This is accumulation distribution and velocity. You can see that the distribution started back here along with this, so it's under distribution. And here is an advanced decline line, which gives me a quick read over here to the left on the advancers versus the decliners. It was minus 883. Decliners led sharply. There's 305 advancers and 1188 decliners. If you look here in the box to the left. And you can see this is the AD line right here, and you can see that the index has broken through all of the moving averages. Now this is a chart I like to look at because it shows me the percentage of stocks in any index above these moving averages. This represents the last day. The percent above the 20-day moving average is only 12%. If I go back here, let's go right here, put the crosshair on. If I click on that and bring up the information window, on that day, that was November 25th, the percent above the 20-day was 85.14%. So you can see how far it's fallen. Above the 50 was 78.68. Look at these numbers now. It just shows you how much distribution there has been. Now, once again, you can do this with any index. This is something I put together maybe 15 years ago. Potential buy-sell signals, and if you get a dark red, that means it was at least a 5-to-1 on advancers versus decliners, and the same thing on the volume. If you have one that is just 3-to-1, you get the rose-colored, and this is just a warning here that these have fired, but the Force Index 13 has not. That's yellow. And then the light green indicates that all of these are not dark green or didn't meet the requirements for advancing versus decliners, at least 5-to-1. This one was 5-to-1 on the advanced versus decliners, but the volume was between 3 and 5-to-1. So you can see there was a buy signal here. Put the crosshair on. Didn't go anywhere, and then we got over here, all of these turned red, and the advancers versus decliners were between 3-to-1 and 1-to-3. 3-to-1 negative, and the same thing on the volume, so it fired. It's not a hard sell signal, but there are several of them in a row. Now going back here, this is, see the red bars up here, and this is a hard sell signal, but it went a few more days and then it stopped and started turning around. Here was a yellow, which is a early buy, and then a confirmation of that, and you can see several bars here. It's not a perfect indicator, nothing is, but it really gives me insight into what is happening based upon the volume and the advancers versus decliners and the force indexes and the volume point of control. And the information is over here. Okay, moving on. This is the same chart without the moving averages. And this is just a chart that shows the index advanced decline line. And this is a 20-day exponential moving average here. It was obviously going down, and this is the percent above the 50, just a better view of it, and you can see how this has fallen off as the market has gone down. These different colors represent the VPA trends. You can see it's down, down, down as of yesterday, and that's why it's red. If I click on the orange, it means the long-term trend was still up, but the medium and short-term trends had turned down. The blue means long up, medium down, short up. And then the dark green means, let me get this right. Down, up, up. They're just there. I don't really pay that much attention to them, but that information is right here in this line. So if I click on this, you can see that everything is up. Then I move it over here. You can see that everything is down. Okay, let's go through the rest of these quickly. AD line, and then this information's up here. I just put it in a different window so you could get a quick read on what's happening with each of these indexes. This is the S&P 1500. I'm just going to quickly switch to the NASDAQ 100, and you can see that information changes up here. Gives you a read, the exact read on advancers versus decliners, accumulation numbers, and trends, and so on. Just a variation that I like to look at. I didn't want to do that. I want to go back to here and go back to the S&P 1500 and then keep on going. Let's go to number 9. I don't need this up here, I guess. This is just the force indexes, the 13 and the 2-day force. You can see the 13 went negative back here, and the 2 has been negative other than a few days where it popped up slightly. This is more long term, and you can see it was oscillating between up and down here as the market was oscillating, and then it rolled over here. And these down here, these are just my micro trends, short-term trends, and intermediate-term trends. And you can see that they've all turned down. Okay, the next one, McClellan oscillator. This is an oscillator that shows its advancers versus decliners. Smooth that over. I believe it's a 19-day period of the exponential moving averages, and the summation index just gives it's more of a trending thing. It smooths all this information out. That's the green line. But when the market's strong, you're going to see this up here as it's starting to roll over. It comes down, and then this shoots up first. I don't pay a lot of attention to this. I just put it in here for somebody who wanted it in here, and I left it in here because it does give a quick read on the strength of the internals, but I like my other charts better. This up here shows you the advancers versus decliners, and this red line up here. If it's below this blue line, it's really negative, and you can scroll across here, and you can bring up the information window, and I'll go right there. It tells me on that day. Okay, this day right here. If you look at this, the index arms indicate the relationship between the advancers and declining issues. It was 7.311 positive, 7-to-1 advancers over decliner on that day. So when you get the big spikes, you can see here it was a 13-to-1 day. If it's under the blue line, yesterday it was 0.63, so it tells me that it was a very weak day, advancers versus decliners. Okay, let's go down to the next two. This is just more accumulation distribution, and you can see we're really oversold here. And the distribution, or the green line, was a percent AD, and you can see that it was high here, and then it started going down, and it's been bouncing along here, but the velocity has turned up. Velocity usually leads the AD line, and it has turned up, so we're getting that bounce today. We'll see how long it lasts, but just another way of looking at accumulation distribution. And then this is a weekly chart, and the bars are not colored here because VPA does not start firing until we get 120 days of information. So all of this has to build up before we start getting VPA flags on here. That's why I set these indexes to 3 years. Okay, I'm going to activate. This video is getting kind of long, so I want to go ahead and show you a little bit of how the markets have changed from yesterday to today. So I'm just going to close this here and enable intraday. And I'm going to update intraday now. Doesn't take very long to update intraday. I'll just leave it on manual for this. So let's go back into the designer. Let's go back into Market Insight ETFs. I'm going to click on that. And I want to go back up to my top view. This is the way the market looked yesterday. And I'm going to disengage the combo so these remain as they were yesterday in this sequence. So I'll turn off the combo, and I'm just going to drop down one indexes and ETFs intraday. If I can get it to go. Now look how dramatically everything changed. This UltraVix is down 8.81% today. Gold is up slightly. Silver is up slightly. Treasury bond shares are down, but everything else is green. If I engage the combo, it sorts on intraday percentage price change one day, and you can see that Bitcoin, and let me go to a different chart here, get out of these index charts for now. You can see that Bitcoin is moving up. I need to get to the intraday statistics. Well, the volume's not that great. But anyway, it's at the top of the list, followed by oil and gas, XOP, metals and mining, energy. So it gives me a quick read on where the strength is in the market. I thought the tech would be clear up here at the top. Well, here's the NASDAQ composite. The Qs are right here, up 2.34%, holding up near the top of their daily range. Let's look at the volume here. It's 33,427, or the estimated volume. This is the average volume. You can see the estimated volume is a lot more, 11 million more, 12 million more than the 90-day average. So if I bring this up, and if you look at the volume, this magenta portion is the projected volume based upon the volume that's already been run today, and you can see the gap up from here to here. And the trend is still obviously down. If you look right here, down, down, down. But this could be the bottom, or it could be just a temporary bottom. We don't know. But so I looked at this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back down to these equal dollar weighted indexes. And I have to go up here to the Tools menu, and I'm going to rebuild the indexes in the group. Now, before I put the industry groups in this folder, it was taking about 16 seconds, and now it takes about 40 seconds when I add the industry groups. So I may or may not leave them in there. But I thought rather than two steps, just do it in one step, and maybe the time would equal out. Now in the next video, I will be getting into many other aspects of prospecting. Today, I just wanted to show you how I look at the markets and the information we can get out of HGSI and Thinkorswim. Thank goodness for Thinkorswim and the compatibility. Okay, now I'm going to just click through to the warehouse view. This is the same view. We don't have intraday information on the views, but these have been recalculated with the correct prices. So let's go back to the S&P 1500. I'll bring up a chart here. And just very quickly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to go to my HGSI market charts, and you can see how it's changing. You can see that the A and E, the E's are coming down and the A's have flattened out. The A plus B's have these are kind of flattening out. It'll take a little more time, but then you look down here and you can see that we have a green candle. Now these volume numbers really don't calculate correctly until the end of the day, so I can't tell much from that. Just run down through these. You can see that the E's have turned down. That's about it on this. Shaken, not much, no change yet. AD line, you can see that it's turned up. The percent above the moving averages, or these indexes above these moving averages, have turned up. Remember, they were all down yesterday, but they're turning up, so we're seeing the market kind of transform itself. Now look up here. You can see that there are two dark green bars. This means that the advancing issues over the declining issues are at least 5-1. And the same thing for the advancing volume over the declining volume, and the force index itself has turned positive just from rebuilding these indexes. So we're getting some insight here. Now, if the force index 13 and the VPOC turn green by the end of the day, there will be a buy signal there. Same thing here. You can see these are turning up. This is turning up. Now we can get a read on what is happening here. Look at this. The S&P 1500, 94.34% of these stocks are advancing. 5.6 are declining, 1416 to 84. The AD direction turned up. Force index turned positive. So a lot of good information here. You can see why I use these charts. Now here the force index turned positive. Let's look at to McClellan. You can see that the AD line is shooting up. And look at this volume right here. It's massive. 16.86 to 1. Not much to show you here. And not much to show you here. But you can see just by rebuilding these indexes, you can go into this chart and get a feel for what's happening. Now, it's extremely strong based upon what I looked at. And we'll see if it holds up. I see the NASDAQ futures are up 439 points today. So, and on strong volume, that's good. Now, from here, I put the HGSI industries in here. I'm going to change to the index group. And I'm going to sort on the index percentage price change. Computer hardware and storage index is up the most, followed by semiconductors, no surprise, and so on. And then if you want to go down further, you can go down to the individual groups. Now, this, or the individual stocks, I should say. Now, I'll go over and sort on the industry percentage price change one day, and you can see that D-Wave, the quantum stocks are starting to move again. Let's go up here, look at my most used charts, intraday statistics. Click on this one. Look at this thing. And notice, I want to point out that no supply here, and then here's a confirmation of strength coming in. Effort to rise, effort to rise. But look at these volume pocket pivots, 3 of them in a row. This one I saw coming up. I didn't pay any attention to it because the market was so horrible. But you can see that those are good signals. Let's look at Rigetti Computing. Now, no VPA signals. Maybe this one hasn't traded long enough. Let's see. Probably not. So no VPA signals on this one. But there are pocket pivot, volume pocket pivot. Let's look at this one here. Look at these VPA flags down here. And this is up 13.01%. Okay, now I'm going to go back and resort on the industry percentage price change. I'll do one more. I'm going to change to the industry group, and then I'm going to sort on one-day change. And AAOI is up 40.33 today. Wow, must be earnings news. You can see it gap even higher. Let's look at the next one. Semtech. Lots of EPA flags here, volume pocket pivots, and moving up today. So strength coming in, confirmation of that strength. And here was a negative one yesterday, but there are buyers coming in here. So it's easy to go top down from these groups to see where the strength is. Now this is one of the views you can look at. As you know, I've got many views. This information here will fill in when you go top down. It's an intraday price change combo, so that's why you have to sort on these other groups. Now, just like with the ETFs, if you want to see where the strong charts are, come here, look at the ranking module. And if I do a control home, it takes control key home, it takes me to the top, and that stock was bought out. Okay, healthcare supply chains, pretty strong chart. These are not, the market's been so choppy. This doesn't mean as much here. Let's forget about that. But it does work well on the ETFs. Okay, let's go back. Now let's do one more. Let's do the NASDAQ 100. I'm going to go back to this one here. This is yesterday. No, I'm sorry, it is not yesterday. Once I recalculated those indexes, this is the way these indexes look today. And it's changed dramatically. So let's just go to the NASDAQ 100, which is up 2.7%. The semiconductor, there are 30 stocks here. Let's look at a little broader market here, the NASDAQ 100. I'll change to that industry group, make it full screen. This was end of day yesterday. So now I can turn off the view combo, and let's go down to the intraday. Today you can see that these are unchanged over here because I took the combo off. Now when I reapply the combo in the NASDAQ 100, this shows me the stocks that are up most today. If I look over here to the right, you can see most of these were negative yesterday on the VPA, but here was one that had a test for supply. So let's look at, bring it up, and you can see that it was in free fall. Here's a test, a confirmation of the test today. So it is seeing some buyers come into it. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video at this length. It's just getting too long, but thank you for listening, and I'll put this cheat sheet out. I'll send a link, and you can kind of follow it and see what you think. But HGSI is an extremely powerful program to see what is going on with top-down prospecting and market analysis. Thank you for listening, and I will be back with another video next week.